News from ITN.
The killing of the British Army corporals, 2 men appear in court. Hattersley attacks challengers in Labour's leadership race. Willis sees the unions over Ford but gets nowhere. And in the Lincoln, the luck rides with the bookies. Good evening. 2 men from West Belfast have appeared in court accused of murdering Corporal David Howes and Corporal Derek Wood at an IRA funeral last Saturday. Alexander Murphy and Harry Maguire were remanded in custody for 4 weeks. The court heard that forensic evidence, including blood-stained clothing, linked both men to the killings, and that police were not solely relying on photographic evidence. Tonight, the RUC said they were questioning 2 more people about the killings.
The 2 accused appeared at a special hearing of Belfast Magistrates' Court this morning. A detective told the court that when charged, Murphy made no reply. Maguire was said to have replied not guilty to both charges.
As the 2 men entered the dock, they smiled and waved to friends and relatives in the body of the court. Several times during the 1-hour hearing, the men smiled and whispered to each other in the dock.
The court was told forensic scientists had found fibres in the clothing of the accused consistent with those in the sweater Corporal Wood was wearing. At the scene of the attack, fragments of glass had been recovered. Police said blood-stained glass was also found in the accused's clothes. There were traces of blood on Maguire's trousers, and a footprint near the boundary wall of Casement Park Gaelic football ground was said to be consistent with shoes worn by Maguire when he was arrested.
The detective told the court police were analysing photographic material. But when the defence solicitors challenged him to say what exactly was the nature of that photographic material and when it came into the possession of the police, the resident magistrate ruled that the police did not have to disclose that at this stage.
The 2 are due to appear in court again next month. Meanwhile, the police are questioning 2 other men about the murders. John Draper, ITN, Belfast.
The leader of the Ulster Unionists, Mr. James Molyneux, called today for changes in the rules under which the army in Northern Ireland can open fire on terrorists. Mr. Molyneux said the police and army must stop treating the IRA like shoplifters and litterlouts. He said they must be allowed to fight armed terrorists on equal terms.
The current sort of theory, although I don't suppose it's put down in print, is that the security forces, both Army and the RUC and the UDR, have got to wait until they are fired upon first before they can return the fire. That seems to me, as an ex-serviceman who served in Normandy, to be absolute nonsense, dangerous nonsense, because the first shot is sometimes a fatal shot.
Labour's deputy leader, Mr. Roy Hattersley, has launched an attack on Mr. Tony Benn in his first public speech about the leadership race. He criticised those who preferred to fight inside the party rather than do battle with the Tories. And he warned Mr. Benn and Mr. Heffer, who were standing for leader and deputy leader, that if they lost, they'd have to toe the party line.
Mr. Benn seems to be running a one-man campaign. First, he sat alone at the back of the East Midlands Conference with few delegates noticing that the MP contesting the leadership was among them. And when he crossed the road to address a lunchtime meeting, he found it double booked, his room already claimed by a rival group. Despite that problem, Mr. Benn found another room and promised his campaign for a return to true socialism would continue.
It began because it was necessary. It will go on because it is necessary. It will win because it is necessary. And it will be about the issues and not about the people.
But back in the conference, delegates were being told by Roy Hattersley that the election result had to end all the arguments.
I hope we'll all remember that the party members have decided the sort of party that they want to see when the result is announced on Sunday night at party conference. And of course, I take it for granted that whatever the outcome of this contest, when the party members have demonstrated their will about ideology as well as about individuals, the minority will accept the democratic decision.
He said the party must reflect the views of supporters, not the views of self-appointed guardians of the true faith. Peter Allen, ITN, Skegness.
Land Rover's 6,000 manual workers in Solihull have voted overwhelmingly to end their 5-week pay strike. The ballot showed a 3-to-1 majority in favour of the management's revised pay offer of 14% over 2 years. Production at Land Rover will restart on Monday. The TUC General Secretary Norman Willis is due to meet Ford shop stewards next week in a bid to revive the cancelled Dundee project. Today he briefed union leaders on his talks in Detroit with the Ford management, who want unqualified support for a single union deal in Dundee. But the Transport Union and the Manufacturing Science Finance Union say they still oppose the terms of the deal.
Having come back empty-handed from Detroit, TUC General Secretary Norman Willis set out on a new mission today to revive Ford's abandoned plans to establish a new plant at Dundee. He has a lot of persuading to do and not much time. At his first meeting, the Transport Union leader Ron Todd agreed he could take the issue directly to the bulk of Ford's workforce, but would not change his position.
Mr. Willis has given me a full outline of the discussions in Detroit. He knows how I feel. He hasn't attempted to change my mind. He doesn't agree with the particular view that I'm expressing, but that's how we try and feel our way through problems.
Later, leaders of the white-collar unions said they would accept a single union deal for the shop floor, but not for senior staff involved in setting up the plant.
We are absolutely at one with Norman in trying to ensure that the jobs come to Scotland. What we don't accept, can't accept, is that we should be endorsing inferior conditions.
The next week will be a busy one for Mr. Willis as he tries to persuade Ford's workers to back the single union deal for Dundee. He knows it's that kind of reassurance the company will be looking for if they're ever to reconsider Dundee as an attractive proposition.
Police hunting the killer of hotel receptionist Deborah Lindsay have issued an artist's impression of a man they want to question. Deborah was stabbed to death in a train travelling from Orpington in Kent to London. The man is about 30 years old, 5 feet 8 inches tall, and of scruffy appearance. He wore jeans and a beige or brown bomber jacket. Police believe he may have caught the London-bound train at Shortlands. He was seen jumping out at Penge East. Deborah's body was discovered when the train reached Victoria. An armed siege of a house in Essex in which 3 people, including a 2-year-old girl, were held hostage, ended peacefully tonight. The siege near Ilford town centre began at lunchtime. Armed police sealed off the street after a man phoned the national newspaper and said he was holding 3 adults and a child hostage at gunpoint. He said he was angry about a rates demand. Police said later only 2 adults were involved. After 7 hours of negotiations, the man finally surrendered and was led away. He turned out to be armed only with a replica pistol and a knife. A 39-year-old man is being questioned by the police. Cross-channel passengers are facing 24-hour delays in Dover with only 2 ferries operating from the port. Services have been crippled by the French Siemens dispute and the P&O strike here. Today, P&O took out full-page newspaper advertisements in which it criticised the Siemens union for sticking to what it called wasteful and outdated working practices.
Just one British Sealink passenger ferry and 1 freight ferry were operating out of Dover today. Lorry drivers found themselves in a queue stretching for more than a mile. Belgian ferries, unaffected by the strike, made little impact, and those waiting to cross the channel faced long delays.
I think they're still likely to wait for just over 24 hours, although the situation will improve a little bit tomorrow morning when the second Sealink UK vessel comes on service.
Some of the 800 stranded holidaymakers spent the day turning the Dover car park into a makeshift ballpark.
Well, we phoned up and asked about the delay, and they said come down as soon as we could. And when we arrived here, they then tried to turn us away, which I wasn't too pleased about. So we had a bit of a discussion in reception with them, and eventually they agreed to let us come through and wait.
Others were more resigned.
It's not that bad. We'll get there in the end.
In the meantime, with 2,000 P&O men on strike and talks at ACAS not due to resume until at least the middle of the week, for those trying to cross the channel by sea from Dover, it's a matter of having to wait in line. James Forlong, ITN, Dover.
The American Secretary of State George Shultz is returning to the Middle East next month for another round of peace talks with Israel and neighboring Arab states. The Israeli government has already rejected many aspects of the American peace plan. In Israel, 3 more Palestinians have died after being shot by soldiers during demonstrations near Nablus. 110 Palestinians and 1 Israeli soldier have been killed since the protests began 15 weeks ago. A plan to rescue Serrano Fiennes and 2 other British explorers stranded in the Arctic is underway tonight. They'll be airlifted back to base camp after abandoning their attempt to reach the North Pole by foot. Sir Ranulph was forced to call off the expedition just 40 miles away from the starting point on Ward Hunt Island. He's said to have frostbite in 2 toes. Hundreds of Sunderland soccer fans ran riot after their team was beaten 2-1 by York City, bottom of the 3rd Division. They tore down one set of goalposts and fought police on the pitch. 2 policemen were injured and 30 fans arrested. But with happier news of today's sport, over now to Mark Austin.
Liverpool are back in the winning way. A week after defeat at Everton, they beat Wimbledon at Anfield and stay 14 points clear at the top of the 1st Division. John Aldridge, back from injury, scored the first, his 22nd goal of the season. John Barnes added the second. Wimbledon's goal came in the last minute of the game. United's captain Brian Robson kept his side on target to win the battle for second place. They remained 3 points clear of Everton. In Scotland, a late penalty from Ian Durrant gave Rangers victory, but the Ibrox side is still 5 points behind Celtic, held to a goalless draw by Dundee United. Blackburn Rovers showed off their new Argentine star today, but for Ozzy Ardiles, the man Rovers hope will secure them promotion to the 1st Division, it was an afternoon at Plymouth he'll certainly want to forget.
Ardiles took to the pitch to a few good-natured boos, and it didn't take the little Argentinian long to make his mark. A lovely link-up here with his old Spurs teammate Steve Archibald, resulting in Blackburn's best attack of the first half. But then Plymouth scored first through Stuart Evans. And then things went from bad to worse for Rovers when Ardiles dropped to the ground after a nasty collision with the Plymouth defender Nicky Marker. The Argentinian limped off early in the second half, and that's when Plymouth took complete command. This header from Adrian Burrows made it 2-0, and then Kevin Hodges added a third after a dreadful lapse in the Rovers' defence. Pete Barclay for ITN Sport in Plymouth.
Rugby League Challenge Cup finalist Wigan will have to wait to know who they'll be playing at Wembley. At Headingley, Halifax and Hull fought out a pointless draw. They must now try again.
It was typical cup-tie rugby, tough and almost as strong as the gale force wind that whistled through Headingley, and the tackling was never shirked. Playing against the wind in the first half, Halifax in the blue and white got nearest to scoring when Anderson gave Whitfield a sight of the line, but he was stopped just inches short. Hull always looked slightly the more positive. Probably their best chance came when Devorty stormed through the middle, but there was no one with him. In the second half, Hull defied the gale to mount attack after attack, Patrick burrowing towards the line, and then the Australian Gale, who'd flown from down under specially, getting to within a yard. With 2 minutes to go, Les Holliday tried to sneak it for Halifax with a drop, but like every other goal kick, it was blown away by the wind. It was a game neither side deserved to lose. They try again on Wednesday. Giles Smith, ITN Sport, Headingley.
The first big race on the flat brought a smile to the bookies. The winner was a 33-1 outsider, Cuvée Charlie, ridden by Mark Rimmer. The favourite Single finished well down the field.
And it's Miss Cuddles on the far side who has it. Miss Cuddles who's clear from Coincidental and Cuvée Charlie and Silver Hayes. And on the far side, it's Cuvée Charlie who throws down the challenge to Silver Hayes. Silver Hayes are great, but Cuvée Charlie has it. Cuvée Charlie, Silver Hayes, Miss Cuddles are 1, 2, 3.
So first, Cuvée Charlie, 33-1. Second, Silver Hayes, 16-1. Third, Miss Cuddles, 13-1. And fourth was Jazitas, also 16-1. The world marathon record holder Ingrid Christensen of Norway has won the Women's World Cross Country Championships in Auckland. It's her first victory in the event, and she came home 19 seconds ahead of the British girl Angela Tooby. This was the race Zola Budd was forced to miss. In Budapest, there was a fourth world figure skating title for Katharina Witt of East Germany. Her performance finished a glittering amateur career in which she's also won 2 Olympic titles. Now Hollywood beckons. Her acting talents have attracted offers of up to $5 million.
And that's the way the news looks tonight. May we remind you that British summertime begins at 2 a.m. tomorrow, when the clocks go forward an hour. But now from all of us at ITN, good night.